Okay, so I think that's 1 minute. Okay. Just a reminder, you can take a break or get a drink of water or anything, use the restroom. In the meantime, it's anyone here from California, like me? You can type in the Q&A or the chat if you like. Well, I'm in California. Oh, yay, some California people. Right now it's pretty hot in California and sunny, but at nighttime it gets really nice and cool and like that. Okay. Jose, nice. Okay. Oh yeah, a lot of you are from Texas, I think. I'm not sure. Wow, a lot of Texas people. Okay. Okay, it's 3:02 where I am, and it should be 5:02 for anyone living in Texas. I'm gonna start now. So, hello, my name is Jamie, and today I will be teaching you the basics of SAT math. A little bit about me first. I am an incoming high school senior, and I took the SAT last year in October and August. My hobbies include video gaming, teaching, of course, and I guess a lot of gaming. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, now let's get started. SAT math. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A section. Please don't spam, and yeah. What did I get on the SAT? I got 1,500, and I got a 700 on the English portion and an 800 in math. Okay, thank you. Is the SAT math hard? I wouldn't say too difficult, but you do have to practice. And the more you practice, the better and easier it is. Okay. Next. The SAT in general has 4 sections and 1 optional section. These sections are reading, writing and language, math without calculator, math with calculator, and the optional essay. I wrote down the number of questions and times in case you wanted to take a screenshot of this or wanted to record it somewhere. All right. Here are some of the recent test dates. If you're planning to take the SAT soon, like for example, maybe you're a senior or a junior who is looking to take the SAT in the next year, here are some of the dates. I took this from my account on College Board, and I had to like fill out half of the information again to do this. So here's an easy way to find these all out. Okay. Topics of SAT math include algebra, geometry, and some trigonometry. And I will include this link in the chat. You can look more in detail if you want to know all the tiny topics, subtopics on the SAT math portion. Oh, where's the chat? Chat. all panelists. Okay. So the link should be in the chat. Just tell me if it isn't, and I'll send it again. Okay. Next. Okay, algebra makes up about 90% of the SAT math portions, both portions. And this should be what you focus most on. If you don't know your algebra, study that first. Don't study anything else. This is very important. So College Board splits up algebra into 3 sections on its website. These are the Heart of Algebra, Problem Solving and Data Analysis, and Passport to Advanced Math. And these can be further broken down into linear equations and systems of linear equations, like 3x plus 4 equals y, and 9x plus 1 equals 4y. Next is inequalities, like 5x is less than or equal to y, and graphs. You should be able to analyze these graphs and understand what they mean, and certain terminology associated with the graph, like x-intercept, y-intercept, the slope, that kind of stuff. Okay, in problem solving and data analysis, you're gonna want to know about ratios, percentages, and units. So ratios would be like there are 5 cats per every dog, or something like that, and percentages could be something like a question where it asks you to turn 5% acid solution into 10% acid solution, or something like that. And units is conversion from units. So if you want to turn grams into pounds maybe, or something, stuff like that. Analyzing data, you'll be given charts, graphs, line graphs, maybe. Yeah, you have to make sure you know how to read a visual like chart thing and be able to understand it and take out the numbers from it and then do math with those numbers. Okay, probability. There's actually not that much probability, but there's a little bit of it in there. So that's why it's included here. Passport to advanced math, identifying equal expressions. So identifying equal expressions means that in word problems, you need to know how to find out that 2 values are equal to each other and how to associate this, the 2 equal expressions and make them equal in your equation. Okay, quadratics and nonlinear equations. Here's that dreaded quadratic formula, and you're gonna want to know how to manipulate these and how to solve them, and factoring, and maybe completing the square. Yeah, you'll also need to know how to graph these functions. Mostly it is a quadratic function, but there could be some other nonlinear functions too. Okay. The other 10% of the SAT includes geometry and trigonometry. And College Board lumps both of these topics together as additional topics in math. These include area and volume, definitions and theorems of lines, angles, triangles, and circles, right triangles, unit circle, and trig functions. If you don't really know too much about this, that's okay. Remember, the big portion of the SAT math sections is algebra. So focus on that first. And then once you're done with that, you can go to geometry and trigonometry. Typically, when you take the SAT, you should be done with geometry or algebra 2, because by then you should have already learned everything you need for the SAT. I wouldn't recommend doing it before that because you might be missing some key information for getting a good score. Okay. Formulas you don't need to memorize, so that's nice. But you should know how to apply these in problems. You don't need to memorize these because the SAT has these as a reference sheet in the very beginning of both math sections. So you can always flip back to this page and look at these if you forget, or if you're nervous and you just want to check and make sure. Okay, next. Okay, grid-in questions. Grid-in questions will be in both the math with and without calculator section, so both of them. Your answer will never be a negative number because there is no bubble to bubble in the negative sign. So if you get a negative number, that means it's wrong. You need to redo the question or check your work. I will include this link in the chat for anyone who wants to read more in detail about these grid-in questions. Or chat. Okay. Okay, it should be in the chat. Just message me if it's not. Okay. Also, if you noticed in the grid-in numbers there's only 4 spots for like each digit or like symbol. So if your answer exceeds that, then that means it's wrong. So if you have like 1 million as your answer, it's wrong because 1 million can't fit in the boxes. Okay, here's just some miscellaneous stuff. Like you can put your number to the left side or the right side and it's the same. So, okay. Fractions are usually easier to grid in for me personally, but you can use decimals if you really want to. The College Board allows you to just truncate the decimal, as in cut off the decimal and just leave out all the extra numbers. Like if you want to put 2/3 in, then you can also put 0.666. That's also the same as 0.667 because the one on the right is rounded up. So either one of those is okay. I don't recommend doing that because it's just one extra step after getting your fraction, and I rather just write down my fraction instead of converting it into a decimal. Okay, don't use mixed numbers. They don't want you to do that. So for example, if your answer is 3/2, don't put 1 and 1/2 in the grid because the computer will read that as 11/2 or 5 and 1/2 or 5.5. So don't do that. Okay. Instead, you can do 3/2, so 3/2. And that'll be correct. You can also put that as 1.5. That would be okay too. Okay. Do you have any questions so far about the SAT in general? Does anyone have any questions? Okay, does it have financial literacy questions? It does have some financial. Some of the questions there do consider money, but it's not like you have to memorize the interest formula or the compound interest formula. You don't need to know those formulas. You just need to be able to recognize that the dollar sign is just a signal of this is an amount of money and you need to calculate this and that kind of stuff. Okay. Why is there so little geometry? So there's not that much geometry because the College Board wants to test your concepts. They don't want to test how many theorems you can memorize or how many formulas you can memorize. They really want to see how many concepts you can use from what you've learned from class. Okay, what is the scoring system? It depends sometimes. So if the College Board makes an SAT exam that's easier than the previous year, they will offset their points accordingly. So what this means is that if, okay, say this year the SAT is really easy, that means that more people get a higher score, so they will offset that and make everyone's score like slightly lower, if you know what I mean. Okay, for every wrong question, typically it's 10 points. Yeah, typically it's like that, but because of the offset, it might change. Okay. What part of the SAT is hardest? reading. I'm a math person, not a reading person. I think it makes sense. Okay. Will there be an SAT this year? Yes, there will be. However, you should be careful when signing up because it might get canceled because of COVID-19. And yeah, okay. Are there questions related to topics of pre-calculus? No, there's not going to be stuff from pre-calculus. You might relearn trigonometry in pre-calculus, and that is useful for this, for the SAT math sections, but there's not any new pre-calculus topics in the SAT. Okay. Why isn't the SAT online? Because they need to have a way to grade you and make sure you're not cheating, and that kind of stuff. And sometimes they reuse questions and they don't want you looking stuff up. That kind of. Okay. Next, SAT math without calculator. Here's sample problem number 1. Okay, so first, in any kind of SAT question, you want to read the question, which is kind of obvious, but if you don't know or you don't understand what the question is talking about, it can be really hard to find out what you have to do next. So make sure you understand it completely. Okay, in the system of equations above, A is a constant. For which of the following values of A does the system have no solution? Okay, and the equations are negative 3x plus y equals 6 and ax plus 2y equals 4. Okay, now we need to analyze the information that they gave. So for this question, it specifies here that there is no solution. You need to make sure this system of equations has no solution. And what does this mean? So if there's one solution, that means the lines have to cross and touch at one point, or at least one point. And if there's no solution, that means they never ever touch and they basically are parallel to each other. So if they're parallel, that means they have the same slope. And that is key to understanding this question. Okay. Okay, so here in my little mini model, I put the equations next to the lines that corresponds to, just to make it a little more visually understandable. Okay, so this ax plus 2y equals 4 would be the red line, and negative 3x plus y equals 6 is the blue line. So this would be a situation where the system will have no solution. Okay, so now we can use known equations, and we're going to use the y equals mx plus b equation, slope-intercept form, where m is equal to slope. And we're going to find the slope from negative 3 plus y equals 6. So first I'm going to add 3x to both sides, and then I'm going to get y equals 3x plus 6. And from this, we know the slope. We know the slope is 3. Okay, I'm just going to write m equals 3 next to the equation at the right, just so we remember this. Okay, next we're going to find the slope from the other equation. So first I am going to subtract ax on both sides. So, then we get 2y equals negative ax plus 4. And then afterwards I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. And now we get y equals negative a over 2 times x plus 2. And from this, we know our slope is negative a over 2. And I'm going to put that at the top too, highlighted in yellow. Okay. Remember from earlier, the slopes must be the same. So we can now make the two slopes equal to each other in order to find out what a is. Okay, solve for a. Okay, so negative a over 2 equals 3. I multiply 2 on both sides and I get negative a equals 6. And after that, we multiply by negative 1 on both sides and we get a equals negative 6. And that is our answer, A, -6. Are there any questions? Let's see. Okay, yes, so a system of parallel lines could also have infinite solutions if it is the same equation. What this means is that it has to be something like y is equal to x plus 1 and 2y is equal to 2x plus 2, where the equation is essentially the same. And for this question, it is not the same. Also, there's no answer choice to that says infinite solutions, so you automatically know that it's not going to be, it's not going to have infinite solutions. So sometimes it's just, you just have to see the answer choices that you're given and figure it out from there too. And I will explain more on that later. Okay. Be careful of tricky answers. So remember when I said earlier that reading the question is really important? So this is where it's really important, because remember from earlier that our first equation, the slope is 3. One of the answer choices is 3. So if you weren't reading the question carefully, you might have thought that was the answer and you might have circled C, which is the wrong answer. So just keep in mind that. Sometimes the SAT has tricky answers like that, and try not to fall for them. Okay, sample problem number 2. So if you have a piece of paper around or pencil, please try this question out. And afterwards, I will go over it with you, and then we can work it out together. All right, I'm gonna. Okay, I think some people got the answer already. If you didn't get the answer, that's okay. Just follow along. Okay. Okay, so there's more than one way to do this question. For me, I like to do the second method, not the first method. So method 1 is solve for x and plug in x. So here I would subtract 2 on both sides and then divide by 4. And then I'd get x is equal to 1/2. And then I would plug in x to the 2x plus 1 to get 2. And then bubble in 2 and write 2 there. Okay, I don't like this method because there's a way easier way to do this, which is right here, method 2. For this method, I just divide 2 on both sides, and then now I get 2x plus 1 is equal to 2. This was a pretty simple question where you just have to solve for x and then plug it back in. But if you want to take it a step further, then you could just use method 2 and finish it real quickly. Because on the SAT math section, especially without calculator, you're really pressed for time. They don't give you too much time. If you remember earlier, they only give you 25 minutes for this. Compared to the non-calculator section, which is 55 minutes. Okay, so Okay, many of you got this correct, so that's really good. Good job, guys. All right. Sample problem number 3. Okay, first we have to read the question again. The equation above is true for all x, where a and b are constants. What is the value of ab? Okay, this is a really long equation. Ax plus 3 in parentheses times 5x squared minus bx plus 4 in parentheses equals 20x cubed minus 9x squared minus 2x plus 12. Okay, next, let's analyze all this stuff. So we don't know what A is, we don't know what B is, and we don't know what AB is. But if we find out what A and B are, then we can find out what AB is. So let's just focus on finding A and B. Okay, I don't want to multiply this all out. That is a lot of work. So I'm not going to multiply everything out, and I'm only going to focus on 1 degree. So if this doesn't make sense, just bear with me. Pay attention to this part. So if you see here, I'm only trying to look for variable A. And I do this by only looking at 20x cubed. And I know that to get to the x cubed, I have to multiply x and x squared. Ax times 5x squared. Because that's the only way to get a term with the part x cubed. So here I broke it down and I got ax times 5x squared equals 20x cubed. And then I divided by 5x cubed and I got a equals 4. So now we can do the same thing to find variable b. And for me, I decided to use negative 2x to find my my variable b. And I'm only focusing on this because I only want to find the terms with just one x, not x squared, not x cubed, just one x. So it's ax times 4 and negative bx times 3. And I can simplify this to get 4ax minus 3bx equals negative 2x. And I can plug in a to get 16x minus 3bx equals negative 2x. And simplifying further, we get b equals 6. If this method doesn't make sense, that's okay. You can always just multiply it all out. It'll just take a little more time to solve. Okay, let's see. Questions? Okay, any more questions? No. Okay, so now we know that A is 4, B is 6. We can find AB by multiplying them together to get 24. Okay, now it's your turn. So try to solve this one, please. If you have paper or maybe in your head if you want, I'll give you a bit of time to solve this. Okay, so a lot of you got the answer already. I do see a few wrong answers, but it's okay, we'll go over them. We'll go over this question together. So let's read this. Which of the following represents all the possible values of x that satisfy the equation above? The equation is x over x minus 3 equals 2x over 2. Okay, analyze the information given. So as we can tell, if we look at the answer choices before solving, Some of them have more than one answer, and that's okay. That means that we have to look out for multiple answers. Make sure we don't just find one. Okay, unless, well, never mind. Okay, there are multiple ways to solve this. So it's okay if you don't do it the same way as everyone else. Method 1, plug in your answers. So for me, I would personally plug in answers because I find that to be easier. Also, if you can compute them fast enough, then it's pretty much the same speed as the other method too. And for me, I don't randomly plug in answers. I would plug in the answer that I see the most. So as I'm looking at the answer choices, I see that 4 comes up in 3 of the answers. So I'll plug in 4 into the equation, and I will see if it works. So 4 over 4 minus 3, so 4 over 1, which is 4, is equal to 2 times 4, which is 8, divided by 2, which is 4. So 4 equals 4. So 4 is one of the right answers. So it's definitely not going to be answer A, but it can be B, C, or D. And now I need to figure out which one of those is the right one. So now I'm going to test 0 because I see 0 in 2 answers, and 0 comes up in choice A and choice B. So when I test 0, I see 0 over 0 minus 3, so that's 0 equals 2 times 0, which is 0 over 2, which is 0. So 0 equals 0, and choice B is our answer because I put both of those in and they both worked. You can also check -4, but you don't have to if you already checked 0 and 4. Okay, method 2, you can solve this algebraically. Okay, and do this, I'll simplify the right side of the equation. X over x minus 3 is equal to x. I'll multiply by x minus 3 on both sides to get x equals x times x minus 3. Distribute the right side so to get x equals x squared minus 3x. And then subtract x on both sides to get 0 equals x squared minus 4x. And then factor to get 0 equals x times x minus 4. And from here, we know that our answer is x equals 0 and x equals 4. Okay. Are there any questions? No? Okay. Next. There's a really common mistake in method 2 where, how about this? Why don't you guys try to find out why this is wrong? What happened in solving algebraically that made this answer wrong? Okay. You can type that in the chat. Yes, so in this mistake, the 0 was eliminated because x was divided in the second step. Like x was divided on both sides in the second step. So this you should not divide both sides by a variable, because if the variable happens to be 0 too, like if 0 is an answer of the variable, then that will get canceled out and your answer will be wrong. Okay, next. All right, sample question number 5. First, let's read the question. In the circle above, point A is the center and the length of arc BC is 2/5 of the circumference of the circle. What is the value of x? Okay, now let's analyze what we have. Okay, so it says here that the length of arc BC is 2/5 of the circumference. And we also know that there are 360 degrees in a circle. That's something you should have learned from geometry. Okay, so next I'm going to use ratios because I have 2 ratios, which is 2/5 and x over 360. Okay, so I'm going to solve this by When I solve this, I get 360 times 2 equals 5x. Dividing, multiplying that gets 720 equals 5x. Dividing by 5 on both sides, and you get x equals 144. So your answer will be 144. Okay, gridding your answer. When you grid your answer, just disregard like any symbols that are next to it. If you have a dollar sign, don't put that down. If you have a degree symbol, don't put that down either. Just put the numbers down. That's the most important. Also, don't forget to bubble in your numbers, because the computer can't read your handwriting. It only reads the bubbles, so make sure you bubble it in. Okay, sample problem number 6. This one is your turn. I'll give you a few minutes to solve this. Okay, don't worry if you haven't finished this one yet. Let's just go over this together now. Okay, first let's read the question. The function f is defined by f of x is equal to x plus 3 in parentheses times x plus 1 in parentheses. The graph of f in the xy plane is a parabola. Which of the following intervals contains the x-coordinate of the vertex of the graph of f? Okay, so the method that I chose for this is a visual method. For this, I will approximate where the function f will be and label it accordingly. So for this, I will just draw a line and label the points where I know there are x-intercepts. I know that there are x-intercepts at -3, 0, and -1, 0, because if I plug those into my equation, I get f of x is equal to 0. So these 2 points here are called the zeros or the x-intercepts of the graph. Okay, and just based on this graph, we know that the vertex is on the bottom here, and we also know that the vertex is in between these x-intercepts. So we don't need to do anything more to find out where the vertex is. Okay, so let's compare what we have to our image to the answer choices. So answer A says that our vertex is between -4 and -3. And that's not correct because our vertex is between -1 and -3. It's not answer A. Okay, answer B says our vertex is between -3 and 1. So -1 and since our vertex is between -3 and -1, that is correct. It did kind of overestimate, but that's okay. C says that our vertex is between 1 and 3. That's not correct because it's between -3 and -1. D says that our vertex is between 3 and 4, and that's not correct either. Okay, so now we know that it's B. Okay, some of you got this right. Good job. You didn't get it right, that's okay. You can learn here. We're here to learn. Okay, next question. Your work doesn't have to be super pretty like my graph earlier. It can be pretty messy as long as you can read it and as long as you get the right answer, it's okay. This is what I probably would have written if I saw that question on the SAT. It's a really messy graph and it's, as you can see, because my parabola isn't even symmetrical, but as long as I'm able to read it and I'm able to understand it, it's all right. So for you, you don't have to do things the same way as I do them, as long as you do it correctly and you get the right answer. That's what matters most on the SAT. Sample problem number 7. Okay, first let's read the question. Okay, the expression above can be written in the form ay squared plus b, where a and b are constants. What is the value of a plus b? Here's my equation. So for this one, I want to simplify this expression here because it's just too complicated. And we want our form to be like ay squared plus b. And we want them to be pretty similar. So I'm going to simplify this. Solve for a and b. I'm going to take away the parentheses because they don't really matter in the first part. And the second part, I'm going to distribute. So I get 7,532 plus 100 y squared plus 100 y squared minus 1,100. Okay, and simplifying that, we get 200 y squared plus 7,432. Wait a minute. Oh, I made a mistake. Let me fix that. Wait a minute. Okay. Let me just fix that. Okay. Sorry about that. So now we know that it's 200 y squared plus 6,432. So that means that A is 20 and B is 6,432. Okay. Now we need to know what A plus B is. So I'm just going to add them up and I get 6,632. And to grid this, here's a sample of how I would grid this. Just bubble it in. Yeah. If you want any more practice, you can also use Khan Academy. They have tons of lessons there that where you can learn the information as well as practice real SAT questions made from the College Board. And yeah, let me just link this to the chat. If you don't see it, just tell me. Okay. All right. So that is it. So does anyone have any more questions for me? Have any more questions? Just put them in the chat or the Q&A, and I will do my best to answer them. Okay, well, I hope this was really helpful for any of you that are going to take the SAT soon or later, or will take the SAT in the near future. And since there aren't, I have a few more questions if you want to look at them. Okay, let's see. Let me set these up first. Okay, so here are more SAT questions by me again. Here is sample problem number 1. So in the XY plane above, line L is perpendicular to line M. What is the value of A? So our approach here will first be read the question and then analyze the diagram. Okay, for this question, I'm going to use the known equation, the slope equation, where y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is the slope. And I'm going to find the slope of L. The slope of L is 0 minus 5 over negative 10 minus 0. I'm just plugging this into the slope equation. Okay, which is equal to negative 5 over negative 10, which means that the slope of L is 1/2. Next, I'm going to find the slope of M. And for here, we can see that if you remember from earlier, the question told us that line L is perpendicular to line M. And since we know that our slope of L is 1/2, and that perpendicular lines are the opposite reciprocal of each other, and we know that the slope of line M is negative 2. Okay, now we can solve for A. Since we know that the slope of M is negative 2, we can plug that into our slope formula, and that negative 2 is equal to 0 minus 5 over A minus 0. And then we get negative 2 equals negative 5 over A. Simplifying further, we get A equals 5 over 2. Okay, and our answer will be choice D, 5 over 2. Any questions so far? No? Okay, great. Some people got the answer quicker than I did. Nice. Okay. Next. So, I think I stated this earlier, but the SAT is tricky. And did you notice that the slope of line L was 1/2, and one of the answer choices was also 1/2? This is because they're trying to trick you and hope that you'll circle that answer if you weren't reading the question properly. Okay. Okay. Yes, someone asked for a geometry question. This is a geometry question, kind of. Okay, it's kind of both algebra and geometry. The equation of a circle in the XY plane is shown above. What is the center of the circle? So when you first look at this equation here, it kind of looks weird, like some sort of strange quadratic, but it's actually not a quadratic. You can change this equation into the equation of a circle, and I will show you this by and the equation of a circle is x minus h in parentheses squared plus y minus k in parentheses squared equals r squared, where the center is h, k, and the radius is r. Okay, so first, I would group like terms since it's usually easier that way to make our equal. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier, but we want our top equation to look like the equation of a circle, so we know what the center is, since the center is h, comma k. Okay, so first let's group like terms. I'm going to group these together, the x's and the y's together, and now we can complete the square. So to complete the square, I'm going to assume that you know how to complete the square already, because that takes a long time to explain. So first we're going to add 9 to both sides. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, 3 squared is 9, and we're going to add 9 to both sides. Remember to add 9 to both sides, because for an equation to be true, you need to add the same thing on both sides. Okay. After that, we're going to get x squared plus 6x plus y plus, x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus y squared minus 8y equals 0. And I'm going to factor the x terms together. So, factoring will give you x plus 3 in parentheses squared plus y squared minus 8y equals 0. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing for the y terms. I'm going to complete the square for this part. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. And so now I'm going to add 16 to both sides of the equation. And then I will factor this now. So factoring the y terms gives you x plus 3 in parentheses squared plus y minus 4 in parentheses squared equals 16. Okay, and now that we've factored and completed the square, have you noticed how similar this is to the equation of a circle? If you have, great job, because this is how you can find the center of the circle. We can do this by relating the h and the 3 and the k and the 4. So the h is negative h, so negative h is equal to 3. So that means h is negative 3. Negative 4 is equal to negative k, so k is 4. Okay, and now we know our center of a circle. And the answer is negative 3, 4. Okay, that's about it. I'll check the. Okay, great job, guys. I finished everything that I've had, and if you have any more questions left, just drop them in the chat and I'll answer them. Okay, well, thank you for listening, and I hope this really helps you later on. All right, I'm gonna end the Zoom call if there's no more questions. Okay. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Next week, I am going to go over the Math SAT with calculator. So if you want to stick around for that, that would be really amazing. Okay. I'm going to end the call now. Bye, everyone.